Okay, I'm going to do the rest of the try these in section 3.1 all together. So if you're following along, I'm on try these C right now, and it says to simplify. So 12 times 12, we should know under our perfect squares that that is 144. And we should be able to do that without our calculator. If we don't know that by heart, you might have to do some side work over on the side, doing ones first. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Then your placeholder for the tens, and 1 times 12, and you should get the same answer. So if you don't remember them by heart, you can always figure them without your calculator. Also, fractions, if you remember, we multiply across the top. 1 times 1. Multiply across the bottom. 3 times 3. Done. Now, this one, again, is going to be like multiplying 325 times 325. It's a little more lengthy to do by hand, but it is possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug it into my calculator to show you that that is the answer here is going to have 4 decimal places because I have 4 decimal places here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I do this longhand, I should get exactly the same answer. Just to save time, because we are allowed to use calculators, I'm going to skip the long way. But I think that you will be successful both ways. Now, again, this is going to be our perfect squares. All of these are perfect squares. If you don't remember them, your calculator here, it is the second square button. So if I hit second and then the square, there's my square root, and I can put in 16. Remember, you don't have to close the parentheses yet, but you want to get in the habit of doing that. Square root of 81, I know, is perfect square of 9. Square root of 100 is the perfect square of 10. So those are my answers there. Last but not least are the try these, letter E. So here we have a number that is squared. So something times something equals 64. So if you remember, that is x equals the square root of 64. Because I'm undoing the square. The opposite of square is square root. So x equals 8. Right? So if I plug in an 8 for x, 8 times 8 is 64. So I can do a substitution to make sure it's right. Again, I will have x is the square root of 121, so x is 11. And then last but not least, this is actually a perfect square of 144, right? So I know that x equals the square root. Now, here's where it gets tricky. I know that it's going to be 12, but I know it also has a decimal place. So since there's 2 decimal places, I need 1 in my answer, because I'm going to be saying that 1.2 times 1.2, there's my 2 decimal places, there's my 2 decimal places. It's a little tricky. You can, of course, use your calculator to check your answer. Now, I'm just going to visit this briefly, that this is only really half the answer. Your book does not address this, and I will not take points off if you don't have this. But officially, I can put 2 answers in here and still get 64. 8 times 8 is 64, but also negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. So all of these have a plus or minus answer, but that's something that we will visit later on in the year. I just thought if you're watching this video that you'll have a little head start now. All right, thanks a lot.